In a museum in Rotterdam, there hangs a painting of most peculiar origins. It is honored by being in the company of such classic painters as Rembrandt and Frans Hals. The list of the great Dutch artists is long and illustrious. Acknowledged by art experts as one of the masters is Jan Vermeer, who died in 1675 at the age of 43. Only a few of his paintings survive. This one, Christ and the Disciples at Emmaus, was acquired by the Boijmans Museum here in Rotterdam in 1937. The museum was overjoyed to have obtained a masterpiece such as this. Among those who attended was a gentleman who went virtually unnoticed. He wanted it that way because it was he and not Vermeer who had painted the picture. Han van Meegeren had perpetrated one of the great art frauds of our time and simultaneously set in motion a chain of bizarre events that would last for over 30 years. World War II would have an unsuspected effect on Van Meegeren's career. The advancing German war machine provided its leaders, dictator Adolf Hitler and his henchman, Field Marshal Goering, with the opportunity to systematically loot private homes and public galleries. To them, war was an excuse for organized theft. Nazi warehouses were soon stuffed with stolen art. Yet Goering's greed was insatiable. To acquire even more, he instructed agents to buy what he could not steal. In Hans van Meegeren, the agent found an apparently willing collaborator. Van Meegeren claimed to have in his possession one of the world's great art treasures, an original Vermeer painting. Van Meegeren told the agent how he had acquired it from an impoverished family in Italy. Goering's agent believed him and paid 1,650,000 guilders for the painting. Shortly after the war, the Dutch security police arrested Van Meegeren, charging him with collaborating with the Nazis, an offense punishable by death. Van Meegeren denied the charge vehemently, but after 6 weeks of interrogation, he finally broke down. I did not collaborate with the Germans. I duped them. The Vermeer I sold to Reich Marshal Goering, I painted myself. To reinforce his defense, he boasted that he had also painted Christ and the Disciples at Emmaus. If true, with this one sentence, he had destroyed the reputations of those experts who had attested to the authenticity of the painting. As one, they declared Van Meegeren a liar. To prove his contention, he would have to paint Emmaus all over again. Van Meegeren went one better. He offered to paint a brand new Vermeer. Placed under house arrest, Van Meegeren was provided with everything he needed, except privacy. He would have to prove his point while under the scrutiny of 24-hour guards, which he did with amazing ease and incredible arrogance. He did not have to finish the painting. It was obvious to the authorities that he could have, in fact, duped the Nazis. On October 29th, 1947, Van Meegeren's forged paintings were hauled into court. By his own hand, Van Meegeren had proved two things. He was not a collaborator, but an extremely skillful forger. Experts who had judged Van Meegeren's work as authentic Vermeers refused to admit their error. Van Meegeren was found guilty, but not of forging the painting he had sold to the museum. He was found guilty only of forging the signature of Jan Vermeer. That ambivalent judgment convicted Van Meegeren, but he died before serving a day in prison. However, his work still hangs in the Boijmans Museum, even though it is a forgery. As a young art student, Van Meegeren had boasted that one day his work would hang in a great museum. He was right. Believe it.